Hi everyone, welcome back to the London Football Show. We thought it's time for another episode, and usually we plan topics to discuss throughout the show, but we thought it would only be right if we dedicate this show to one club and one of our regular guests, well, one of the founding members of the channel. So here he is, James. The show is yours.
Listen. I appreciate it. I do appreciate it because we started doing this and it was mainly around the Premier League and all that. Then we changed it to sort of all clubs. Then obviously you got to look at it. You got yourself, Sion, who's a Chelsea fan, with Sanford, who's a Man United fan, and then obviously people know that I'm West Ham. And there's not doesn't come around that often. The last final we were in, I think, was 2006 in the FA Cup final when we lost to Liverpool, but we haven't won anything since 1980. You could question that we did win the Inter 2 Bob trophy, but that was nothing really in 98 or 99, something like that.
99, yeah,
But
so that.
but what an achievement, and what a last few days. I've kept quiet. I've kept quiet over on my social medias. I've not done anything really. I've kept it quiet because you just don't know how it's going to go. People know me. They know I've been to every home European Conference game this season. I've seen a lot. I've had the privilege of commentating on a lot of it. I've sat next to the first team coach, Billy McKinley. So I'm in the heart of it. I know how much it means to people like David Moyes. And I want to start off with talking about him, okay? Because I think you might have to correct me here, Sion, on this anthem, but I think 14 clubs somewhere along the lines sat their manager this season in the
Yeah.
Premier League.
Record
Right?
high.
Yeah.
People would have expected West Ham would have been in the top two or three of those teams to have sacked David Moyes at some point during this season. There was a lot of pressure. There was a lot of pressure on, God rest his soul, David Dog when he was alive, and obviously David Sullivan, But they stuck with him. And the West Ham fans, they were very critical of him. It wasn't pretty fitty. It wasn't pretty football. But let's just talk briefly, because this is about the Europa Conference, yeah? But let's talk briefly about the Premier League. If West Ham had won one more game and drawn one more game, they would have finished above Chelsea. They would have finished like 2 wins, they would have finished 9th or 10th. Yeah. The fact they finished 14th and went on this run to a final of a European title is good enough. And now these West Ham fans that have been celebrating in Prague, celebrating in Stratford last night, they've suddenly forgot the criticism they were giving to David Moyes for about 2 months solid. It's not good enough. It's not good enough. The man's just won you a trophy in the first time in 43 years. They stuck with him. They deserve it. He deserves it. His backroom staff deserve it. That's point number one. Point number two, the staff that work at the club deserve it as well. There's a lot of people that work, unsung heroes, do a lot of work, get you that media coverage, get you down to like the kit men, the people that sort of organise the sports scientist people, the stats, all of them people, they deserve this. Because I'm telling you now, there was a quote on TalkSport. Someone said on TalkSport, I think 2 days ago, just after we won the final, there will be supporters and fans of other clubs like your Palace, like your Wolves, like your Villa, like your Brighton, like your Fulham, that would have loved, and I'll add Tottenham to this, would have loved to have been in the situation that West Ham have had the last 2 days. Fact. West Ham have had a better season than anyone that didn't finish in the top four. And I think they've even had a better season than Arsenal, who had one hand on the Premier League trophy and let it slip by. I think we've had a better season than them. I think we've also had a better season than Newcastle. Yeah, qualified for Champions League, but they ain't won nothing. They lost in the final when they potentially should have won that League Cup final. But I think we've had a better season than them. We've won a European Conference. We've won a title. There's only 3 each year. Champions League, we might talk a bit about that later. City could win that. Europa League, Arsenal, we're all happy when they got knocked out of that. Oh, we ain't got to play twice a week. We can concentrate on the Premier League. Did they go on and win it? No. West Ham, outstanding. Let's talk about the game. The game wasn't pretty. It wasn't pretty in the first hand. It'd be wrong of me as a fan and someone that works for the club, not to mention some of the fans that let us down in the first half with throwing stuff onto the pitch. We've got to appreciate that. That's going to be looked into. I have a feeling, this is just my own personal feeling, we might get an away ban for the first game in the Europa League next season. There might be no away fans or something like that. They may do that. I'm not too sure. They might have to, suck it and see what happens. But, the fans were outstanding. I think we took 25,000 out to Prague and only 5,000 had tickets. Although when you look at the pictures in the stadium, I think we outnumbered the other team's supporters by 3-1. So there was probably more than 5,000 in there. But to take that amount of fans to the fan zone in Prague, I think was outstanding. I think the fans did behave themselves as best they can. And then the game itself, scrappy first half. We got away with a VAR call right on the stroke of half time with them scoring, but it was offside, only just. And then obviously we get the lead through a VAR with the handball. We've all been there this season. I think Chelsea have, Man United have, we definitely have, where this ridiculous handball rule doesn't help, But we'll take it. It's a clear penalty. It was definitely more like a clear penalty handball from one angle, but then from another, it looked more accidental. And, oh dear, what a goal it was from Benny. It's like unbelievable, to take that as a penalty, but his penalty takings this season has been pretty impressive. You've got to remember we had someone like Mark Noble who took penalties for years and very rarely missed. But the anxiety of it, I'll talk a little bit about the feelings of the final is ridiculous in a minute. But then we only held the lead. I think you might correct me, Sion. You're very good at stats. I think it was only for about 4 minutes, 4 or 5 minutes.
Like that, yeah.
And it was a bit of a dodgy goal. I felt the keeper could have done better. I felt Areola could have done better, and we could have dealt with the ball. The first ball that came in a bit better, we could have defended it a bit better. But how do you want to win a final? You want to win a fight. We've had a lot of playoff finals recently in the last couple of weeks. We've had cup finals. We've had everything. Everyone says the best way to win a final, if you can guarantee it, is either on a penalty shootout, because that's the excitement, but you're guaranteed to win, or a last-minute winner. But what's Gary Bowler? Unbelievable. Gets put through, superb, calmness, took it well. Keeper got something that wasn't enough. But then we had 5 minutes of added time that turned out to be 8. But I want to make this point, boys. I'm a West Ham fan, and I'm sure a lot of West Ham fans feel this. You're Chelsea, you're Man United. In your lifetime, you've probably never experienced it so much, yeah? I guarantee it, you probably do experience it during a final, yeah? But not to the level that we have. It doesn't come around often. But I can't go through the anxiety and the tension of a final like that. I've got to get to finals every couple of years to relieve that stress. It's the nervous of it. It's like, and I work in a school. It's like having an Ofsted inspector at your door about to come in when that penalty was about to be taken. That's how I felt, And then on the 7th minute of the only added 5, I was like thinking the Ofsted inspectors come back in. Like I was just pacing up and down. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't do anything. And just for a point of reference, although I worked for the club, unfortunately, I didn't get any offer of going out to Prague from the club, which is a shame, but that's life. They can't do everything. So I watched it at home, thoroughly enjoyed it. But yeah, it was tension, anxiety and everything. What I think about the future, Declan Rice, I don't know. Arsenal might not pay the money, but if they do, he can go as a hero. He joins Billy Bonds, captain 1980, FA Cup final, lifts the trophy against Arsenal, 1-0 win. He joins Bobby Moore, 1965, Cup Winners' Cup European against Munich, 1-2-0. Declan Rice joins there. He's the only one of only 3 captains that's lifted a trophy. It's unbelievable. David Moyes joins John Lyall, Ron Greenwood. Unbelievable. This is the time. But West Ham have proved a lot of people wrong, not just on the pitch, but off the pitch. It could be our time now for the next couple of years. Let's just see. And the bonus is the Europa League finals in Dublin next year. So if we can get to the final of the Europa League, it's only over the river. And we'll be in Dublin, I guarantee you that. And I'll tell you now, if we do get to the final, I'll take you 2 bids to the Europa League final. Chelsea aren't in Europe next year, are they?
No.
So you've got time to, yeah? And then United might drop into the Europa League having fouled at the Champions League.
No. I'm done with that.
So,
But
I can't up
horrible.
and down. But do you know what? Let's cut to the facts, yeah? I suppose what biggest point I can are people, and those that have known me today Thursday was a bit interesting, but the day people have gone. But the one thing I will say, West Ham are massive, yeah? They are massive. I tell you, that's a big achievement, boys. A big achievement. And outside of West Ham, I don't think anyone would have thought we would have won it. And I don't even think a lot of people outside of West Ham gave us a chance on Wednesday night, to be fair.
Well, I mean,
But we're happy.
yeah, so I mean, you're right in terms of like when you look back on this season, sort of 10 years time, only three teams have won a trophy this year: Man United, Man City, West Ham is going to be in the record book. So that's what the sport's about. So James, probably this must be the best Wednesday night, best day as a West Ham fan, or just where does it rank in life? Just not just football, but just in general.
Yeah, like in general, like I think I just remember the 1980 FA Cup final, but I was very, very young. I was only about five or six, so I don't really have that much memory of it. We went on, and again, you can correct me if I'm wrong. We stayed in Cardiff for that 2 years. We lost to Palace in the playoff final. Then I think we beat Preston in the playoff final, and then we lost to Liverpool in the FA Cup. I think we're doing 3 years. So they were good times, getting to a final and all that. But obviously, to lose 2 of them and only win 1 of them, albeit the one we won got us back into the Premier League. We played Blackpool in the playoff final at the new Wembley Stadium not so many years ago to get back into the Premier League. That was good. But I just think overall, we think it's got on, not on Wednesday night, but Thursday, last night, to see my club finally do it and finally sort of like, break through on something. I think in relation to football, it has to be like one of the best 24, 48 hours I've had.
Okay. And obviously you mentioned Rice there. That's like more linked to potential outgoing, but what does it do for your transfer, like sort of your budget, and obviously sort of attracting better quality players being in the Europa League next season? So what does that do for your transfer business this summer in terms of incomings, potential incomings?
And drawn by an ex-student of ours.
Amazing.
Fantastic, very good at art. Declan's gonna receive that, hopefully. He's already aware of it, but I don't know. I think the money's got to be well spent. We've got to look at positions that we need to do. Fabianski's 38. I think, is Areola ready to start in the Premier League? Possibly. Emerson, Cresswell, Stufau. Do we need another fullback to come in? Is Johnson going to be up there? I think centre backs were all right. Zuma, Agard, Agbono as a safety net. Kera as another safety net. He's a good player. I think the midfield, we can't, if we lose Declan Rice, we can't rely on Downs. Downs is a good young is the word. He's got no experience, and Soucek's got to have a really good performance. West Ham fans will want to see Paqueta, how you pronounce him. He's well in the team. Schumacher back into the season. I'll give him one more season, maybe. Jared Bowen, Ben Rama on either side, Antonio. Who do I want to come in? Again, I think we spoke about this in the last podcast, but now we've won this and Rice can go happy. Could we go into like the teams that have gone down? Would Ward-Prowse from Southampton be a good buy for West Ham? Not sure. Will Maddison go to Newcastle or could he come to West Ham? Not too sure. Is it Harrison, the youngster from Leeds? I quite like him. Could he be someone that could come in? But other than that, I don't know. There was talk of various players. Like Harry Maguire might go to Tottenham. West Ham wouldn't necessarily want him. But to be honest, I'm not too sure. I don't. At the moment, I'm sort of too high to sort of like. He's rightfully going, and I think that's what a lot of fans are thinking. Definitely the way he spoke last night for 8. And he turned it down. I think I'll be going back to him now and saying here's 2 and 15.
Yeah.
Surely.
Yeah. In terms of our thoughts. Obviously, I did watch the game. I wanted West Ham to win it. Because me, Spurs, I just want Spurs fans to have to watch everyone win a trophy until whenever this trophy drought of theirs ends. So obviously, it wasn't the greatest of games, but I know James, he did send me the stats saying throughout the competition, 14 wins and a draw, unbeaten. So West Ham, they've definitely been the most consistent team throughout the competition, and yeah, they thoroughly deserved it. Finals, you don't have to play well as long as you lift the trophy at the end. No West Ham fan's gonna remember in 5 years how you played in the games. Just gonna remember Declan Rice lifting the trophy. So yeah, great achievement. I'm happy for West Ham, and yeah, David Moyes as well, gone through a tough time. I remember it was really bad after the Newcastle home defeat. I was seeing like the outrage online, and I even thought, I was like, yeah, he's not going to survive this just purely because of how many managers have been sacked. But persisting with him is proven to be the correct decision. So yeah, massive congratulations to West Ham, and obviously European football again next season. And we'll see. That's probably going to be a boost. You're probably going to be able to attract the higher profile players. Maybe if you weren't in Europe, maybe this summer could have been different in terms of potential incomings. But you definitely be able to top in sort of the higher tier market now. Rosanfon, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, massive congratulations to West Ham. They thoroughly deserved it, in my opinion. Yes, I'm a United fan. You know, support or back Premier League club. But for me, I think when you look on it international level, England haven't been performing. You look at the 2021 Euro final, bottled it. Lost to Croatia in the semis in the World Cup before. You know, England, you know, it's not, I mean, yes, it's known for its football, but when you talk about quality, you always talk about, you know, Brazil, Spain, Argentina. I think the best way for English football to actually compete and actually show its quality is through the European football. I remember there was a period where the Premier League clubs were dominating European football. If you look at 2018-19, you had Tottenham, Liverpool in the Champions League final, Arsenal, Chelsea in Europa League. And this season, you see West Ham won it, Man City might win it, as much as I hate to see it. And we have 8 teams now competing in European football. Could be more if, let's just say hypothetically, Chelsea was to win it, but not qualify through Premier League rankings. We could have seen up to 10 clubs in Europe next season, just from the Premier League alone. So for me, I like to support teams, apart from my rivals. Any clubs like West Ham, the likes of Brighton, Aston Villa, it's always good to see, you know, your home country teams doing well in Europe because it that puts you on the map. Teams will start taking you seriously. I feel like English clubs, they don't really have that pedigree, but on for a few years, but we're starting to pick that up now. People will start to fade these clubs, see that we're serious, and you know, English fans are always, you know, hype on about how Premier is the most toughest and hardest league, but then you'll have all these Spanish players or Spanish clubs coming and saying, we've been dominating Europe. How can you call yourself the biggest league? But now I can say, look what's happening. You've got potentially champions of Europe, the biggest one, Champions League, could be Man City. Europa League, okay, fair enough, Sevilla won it. But then you look at Conference League, West Ham, 2 of the 3 European competitions is English. So I think for teams like West Ham, until they get to that next stage of competing consistently in Europe, I think this is the perfect opportunity for them to go and win a trophy like the conference. I mean, just football aside, you saw the emotions, the fans, like look what it meant to them. Big clubs like United, I remember Spurs fans were degrading this trophy. Oh, we don't want it. I'm glad we finished 8th. That's nonsense for me. You've gone over a decade without winning a trophy, and you have the audacity to come at a team like West Ham to win it. For me, I want to say I wasn't surprised that West Ham won it in the sense that we've seen quality of West Ham before. Yes, it dropped off in the Prem, but I had no doubt that they could go on and win this tournament. When you look at the start, there was not many teams competing in it, and yes, it is a cup competition, but then you got to argue the luck of the draw. You know, United had it. We played dog teams. No offense to the teams we played, but we didn't really play any competing teams in the Carabao Cup. We played Burnley, Aston Villa, Charlton, Forest. The only team I could consider was Newcastle. That was in the final. Whether you call it lucky or whatever, West Ham beat who was in front of them, and ultimately they won the competition how they should have. Nothing went against them. They were the better side in all the legs. There's only one leg that they didn't winning 2 in both teams, which was Ghent. But even then, they thrashed them 4-1 at home. So for me, I think it's a massive achievement. I think regardless of what happens with Rice, they need to go on a big spending spree, because we've seen that West Ham have struggled to cope with competing in Europe and playing in the Prem. Can this squad rotate? If someone like Rice goes, do they have someone that can perform on a Thursday night and then come back Saturday or Sunday? And with the amount of teams now in Europe, there's 8 teams now. It seems like there's going to be more games on Sunday than there will be on Saturday. So there'll be a lot going on. So I think regardless of what happens with Rice, just spend the money, because West Ham are on the right path. Just for me, discard what they finished this season, because any West Ham would trade, any West Ham fan would say Conference League win and 14th, they'll take it. And as Mr. Datson mentioned earlier, they weren't too far behind Chelsea in their worst season. And for me, I think West Ham should be looked upon by other clubs like Brighton. You know, they have no history of Europe. They'll be looking to go and do something in Europa League. Yes, Liverpool are in it. I do think they'll be the favourites, but what's to stop them from challenging in that competition? Yes, Villa have had their history in the Europe, but they'll be looking to go back in it with Emery next season. So I think there's all to play for. I think it'll be a massive boost. I think there's nothing wrong with, for me personally, with West Ham winning it. It's just all positives. I don't see one negative from this.
Yeah.
Everything's just going well, you know. It's just, yeah.
And also, I think, I don't know if it was Jamie Carragher, but he did say, obviously, you've got sort of Man City dominating the Premier League. The chances to win trophies, there's not like endless trophies. You win what you can win, as he said. Like West Ham, the best chance of winning the trophy, they've gone and taken it. So obviously that gives hope to the likes of, as you said, Brighton, Aston Villa. The trophies you can win next season. They've got the 2 domestic cups and they've got Europe. So that's, for most clubs, that's going to be an extra cup competition to win, because how likely are you to win the Premier League? I know Leicester have done it, but that's 1 in a million. So you win what you win, or you compete for what there's a chance of winning. So yeah, that's just something I wanted to add. James, anything else you want to come back to? West Ham, anything else?
No, just to say I agree with what you're both saying, boys. I think you're spot on. I think it's a question of, like, you know, people need to realise it will be interesting to see the likes of Brighton and Villa, how they cope in Europe next season with playing Thursday and Sunday, just to see, because it does affect your Premier League if you don't have a strong squad. You know, if you don't have a bit of like strength in depth and all that. So it would be interesting. But like I've said, I'll end by saying, look, it's massive for West Ham. Other than Man City, other than maybe Man United, I don't think there's any other club that would have loved to have done what we did this season. You know, Newcastle fans, you got Champions League, but you ain't won a trophy for years. You would have loved to have done what we did in the conference. Arsenal, same. Tottenham, the same. Chelsea are let off, but we're catching up. We're coming after Chelsea. That's the thing. We're coming for you, Sion. Don't you worry, boy. Don't you worry.
All right,
come on, you Irons.
Right. Champions League now, obviously, big game tomorrow. Man City, the clear favourites. Any chance of an upset? What's Inter Milan's chance of winning that game as a percentage? Anyone?
Can I come in? Can I come in here?
Yep.
Yeah. Can I give you my opinion, if that's all right? Yep. I can't really swear, but I don't really care. I don't care. West Ham have done the business. I don't care. If I'm honest, I want City to win. City have got to win. Because if City win, then it means all the 3 Italian clubs, all the 3 finals, didn't win any of them. Facts.
Yeah, the thing is, I mean, I would agree with James, but it's just the opponent. So for me, I know Razan will be the same. James is the only one that wants Man City to win that game tomorrow on this podcast, everyone. Let me tell you that. Man City, obviously, with the whole allegations, obviously alleged breaches of all these laws, but that's for the future. That's for 4 or 5 years' time. So who knows what can happen with that? They might get found not guilty, and everything they're winning now, it will remain valid. So while before the game's been played, I hope Inter Milan win that. Obviously, first goal is massive. If Man City scored the first goal in the first 10, 15 minutes, I think could be a one-sided Champions League final. But I would say in terms of the two teams, I don't know. I don't know the last time there was a final with, for me, the gulf, in terms of on paper, the gulf between the two teams in the final is as big as I can remember in recent memory. So I don't really give into much chance in terms of like their best chance of winning it or to give themselves any chance. Obviously, Italian clubs, how they defend well, they time waste. It's going to have to be one of those scumbag performances if they're going to win it. They can't turn up there and try to play football against Man City. It won't work. So they're going to have to use the dark arts. Oh, Pep. Yeah, they're going to have to use the dark arts to try and win that game. Obviously, they've got a bit of firepower up front. Dzeko, Martinez, Lukaku if he comes off the bench. So yeah, Inter is going to have to be tactical masterclass because yeah, they can't turn up and try and make that a football game. They'll lose. But yeah, no, I do think Man City are going to win. If I'm giving a prediction and then I'll pass on to Razanthan, I'll go 3-1. 3-1 Man City, or maybe even 2-0. But no, I do think Man City will win. Razanthan.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a disappointing day tomorrow. I think the inevitable is going to happen. I think Man City will win it. As much as I hate it, I've now come to that realization that if they don't win it now, then serious questions has to be asked. Like, investigations, theories will be put out. I think I was mentioning to Mr. Datsun in a private conversation, I think it would be a disgrace if Inter do win it on the basis that, to call Inter Milan champions of Europe on the biggest stage, for me, it's not a true reflection. But I can't stand by that statement. I mean, we've seen even last season. I wouldn't say City got robbed, but they were literally seconds away from going through against Real Madrid, and then Real Madrid just came through with their history, their heritage, and won it. But this season, I think City have changed. You saw how ruthless they were this season. Last season they conceded 3 at Etihad. This season they only conceded, I think it was nothing or 1. I think everything's going for them. I think they're going to show no mercy. I personally I have no faith. But if there is a God, Inter will win it. I think that's the best way to describe it. I see no chance with Inter. I generally, there's not even a single player, not like a Messi or Ronaldo, and a Neymar, Hazard that can even carry them. I don't see no one carrying them. There's no big personalities in that squad. For me, even the manager, I'm not too sure. There's Inzaghi's brother, I think. I have no faith. I have no faith at all. I'm just praying at this point. It's all luck. It's all faith. Even though I have no faith, it's just nothing's impossible, I guess. But I think City will win it. I think they will end their streak. I think part of me, as much as I hate it as a neutral, I have to say they will deserve to win it. I think it is slightly overdue. I would say 2021, they should have won it. If they don't win it this season, I think it'll be a bigger disgrace than when Chelsea won it, if Inter was to win it. Score predictions, I'm going to go ruthless. I'm going to go 4-0. I think Haaland's going to be ripping it up. I know De Bruyne is going to be wanting something. Players that haven't maybe achieved anything on the international level either will want to prove something.
Yeah, I agree. It's a big night for City. I'm going 4-0 win.
Wow, yeah. And just quickly, in terms of like Man City in Europe this season, they've been a lot more streetwise. I think in Pep sort of the previous seasons, in the knockout games, they'll try and go gung ho even away from home because they know they're better on paper. They're better than pretty much anyone they face. But now I think Pep, like even at the Bernabeu, City they won't really rushing to go forward. They just focused on defending well. They score the goal, they score. Even if they lost 1-0 against Real Madrid, it wouldn't have been a disastrous result. But even when they got the equaliser, they weren't sort of overcommitting players forward. They said we'll bring them back to the Etihad, and at the Etihad is when they sort of unleashed against teams. Sorry, they did it the other way around against Bayern, slaughtered them at home, and then second leg was away, sort of more conservative performance from them. So yeah, I do think City they've learnt their lessons from previous years, and it's probably made them stronger. And yeah, I don't think they're going to make the same mistake again. As Razanthan said, I think they should have even won the Champions League 2018-19. Obviously, Spurs knocked them out on the away goals. I think they were the best team in Europe that season as well. So those are probably the two occasions. And obviously us, we were the underdogs as well. But yeah, no, I don't think they're going to be making those mistakes again. If they do, then I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I know everyone's going to be onto them Monday morning. Everyone's going to be feasting. But yeah, any final thoughts from any of you before we wrap up?
No, other than West Ham are massive. It's as simple as that.
All right. Well, on that note, take care, everyone. Like, subscribe, and share. We'll see you all again soon. Obviously, busy summer ahead in terms of all the transfer news. We'll keep you posted and be doing shows frequently throughout the summer. But yeah, take care, like, subscribe, and share. We'll see you all again soon.